Is hanging in the balance. Would he really leave football for Jeopardy? What is maybe? That is correct. Bill Belichick's heir apparent is going to have some extra large shoes to fill. Do they already have that guy in-house? And the King appears to be going solo mode tonight. Does he need to score 40+ for the Lakers to have a chance without AD? Good Tuesday morning, everyone. This is First Things First. Jenna Wolf, Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wilds. Fun show for you today. A bunch of different things we're going to get to. But, Nick, does your guy LeBron have to be Superman to save this series?
No, he's just got to be the king. Just being himself should be enough. Save the series, Jenna. It's 2-2.
Oh, man.
2-2.
I know, but we panic. That's what we do. We're such good panickers. Have you met me? We'll get to that in a second. We must start, though, in our nation's capital. Sixers-Wizards, Game 4. Oh, no, Joel Embiid. Philly was going for the sweep, and it looked like a no-brainer until Joel Embiid banged his knee on a hard foul. He did stay in the game, but a few minutes later, he was seen limping to the locker room. He never returned. Wizards would go on to win the game and keep the series alive. Embiid's status remains unclear now for tomorrow night's Game 5. If he cannot go, that would put the weight of the series on Ben Simmons' shoulders. Tall task, because he's only having the second worst free throw shooting performance in playoff history. Dubious honor. But Doc Rivers still has trust in his star Ben Simmons. Take a listen.
Does the thought cross your head at all to take him out of the game there?
No.
Why not?
You want me to take Ben Simmons off the floor?
No, I mean, I got to ask the question.
I will pass on that one. He's pretty good, so I'll pass on that suggestion.
I know that obviously not one person saves the day, but I think when Joel is in trouble and gone and fans want Ben to save the day because they look at him as the other cornerstone and they feel like he delivers less than what they're expecting. Is that fair for them to see it that way?
No, but you guys keep this Ben Simmons narrative alive, which to me is freaking insane, how good this guy is and all the things he does. Ben is not a 40-point guy. It's not what he does. He does other things for your team. And I just don't understand why that's not sinking in our city.
All right, let's kick this conversation off with Ben Simmons. Nick, what do you make of Doc's defense of that other cornerstone, as the reporter put it, Ben Simmons?
Okay, so there's a lot here. On Doc, listen, that's one of the reasons Doc is Doc. And I say that in a complimentary fashion, not in a negative fashion. I don't know that Doc Rivers is, one of the 3 best in-game adjusters in basketball. In fact, I think he's not. I don't know if, if he is one of the 3 best tacticians in basketball. In fact, I think he's not. But he is, without question, one of the 3 most beloved and respected coaches in the league by players in the league, Paul George maybe notwithstanding. And that's because not only, did he play himself, but more importantly, he always comes to his players' defense. So in that regard, that is Doc doing what Doc has always done. In regards to the meat of his statement, listen, I totally agree with him. I understand the frustration with Ben Simmons for 2 very specific reasons. One is you saw what he was offensively as a rookie, and he's never really gotten much better on that end of the court, so you didn't see the improvement. And the other reason for frustration is the hole in his game is so incredibly glaring that his refusal to take jump shots, it stands out to you. But Doc is absolutely correct that Ben Simmons last year was an all-NBA caliber player. This year, I believe he should win Defensive Player of the Year. He'll probably finish second to Rudy Gobert. And he is a massive positive on winning. He does have a hole in his game offensively. And I would argue we have seen a guy be league MVP, a unanimous league MVP, who his team takes off the court in specific situations at the end of games because he's a liability defensively, and nobody bats an eye. The Warriors have done that to Steph Curry throughout, not so much recently, but when they were winning titles, particularly before KD got there were spots where in the final minute of a close game, they would take him off and go offense-defense because they didn't want him to be attacked defensively. We don't allow the same margin for error, if you will, for guys who maybe should come off the court offensively at times, and I think Doc maybe should consider that. But Ben Simmons, one of the 25 best players in the league. I understand he's frustrating. I understand he's not complete. I understand he hasn't had, Brandon, the improvement you would have liked to see for some from the #1 pick of the draft. But I think he was the defensive player of the year this year. So I agree with what Doc's saying, and I understand why he's defending him.
Yeah, Nick, you're 100% right. Doc was spot on. It was a conversation that needed to be had. We know who Ben Simmons is. We just haven't accepted it. Ben Simmons is a world-class defender. He's an elite distributor. We know exactly who he is. Like, it's okay for us to put a guy in the box or say, this guy, Ray Allen, he's deadly from three. That's why we have him on this team. He's a three-point shooter. Dennis Rodman, rebounder, defender. We got this guy we're going to just bring in just for defense, or this guy just for rebounds. So we just have to accept exactly what Ben Simmons is. Now, I'm guilty of this. Last year in the bubble, I was on this case. I was one of those guys talking about, man, you need to develop. You need to ascend to another level. Now, he does need to continue to work on his game. That is a huge gap. You didn't take 1 3 last night. We need to see him take his offensive game to another level, but that's not what he is. On a good night, he's going to give you 20 points, but he impacts the game, Wilds, in so many different ways, and we just have to accept that. It's time for us to accept that. Now, 45% from the free throw line, that's a problem. That's unacceptable. Now, that was unacceptable for Shaquille O'Neal. I'm sorry, Shaquille O'Neal never got it right, but if you are a pro, a basketball player, you make it to that level, your butt better be able to knock down the free throw line when the game's on the line.
Because you're shooting 80%, Brandon.
Brandon.
That's right. That's right, Jenna.
As a former player, oh gosh darn it, the rim is 9-6 when you were shooting. For goodness sakes,
it was 10-3.
So Brandon,
as of 10-3.
Okay, that's even worse. Still not regulation. You shoot him too far.
I know.
Okay, Brandon, as a former player, do you how much does what Doc Rivers said galvanize the team? When Ben Simmons knows that he missed those free throws, he knows that he was fouled 4 times in a span of 100 seconds and then went up there and bricked them, and that was one of the reasons why the Wizards were able to come back and win the game. But Doc, in an amazing show of leadership and a little bit of mental gymnastics, flipped it on the media. The media's like, hey, Doc, excuse me, do you think it's fair? I don't know, you guys are insane. You want me to take Ben Simmons out the whole game? Like, I'll pass on that suggestion. Like, it wasn't a suggestion, we're just asking. So to me, it seemed like textbook, protect in public, criticize in private. But if you were on the team, how much would that galvanize seeing Doc go to bat for you?
I don't think it galvanized this locker room. The locker room is already together. I think it settles this locker room. When you walk in off that court after a game like that, emotions are high. So you're going to see Embiid sitting on the training table with ice on his knee, and he's going to have a frown on his face like, bro, you couldn't bring this home. You couldn't get this done. I want extra days to rest. You're going to see other guys in the locker room. They understand the story. They hear the narrative, too. Some of those guys are buying into it. So with Doc Rivers standing up, Nick, and saying, look, Ben Simmons is our guy. Now, those frowns, Embiid, they have to accept it. So it settles that locker room so guys don't have to carry that chip on their shoulder, because it is an issue, but they have to address it because, who he is a guy, like Doc said, he's going to impact the game in other ways. He's not going to drop 40 points. Now, 45% from the free throw line, that is a problem.
Yeah, and that would be a problem if I thought that was actually what he is going to be from the free throw line. Listen, he's not a good free throw shooter, but he's 60% for his career. And he's not 60% in these playoffs, but again, he's shot 20 free throws. And it's nerdy analytics for a moment. If you are above 55% from the line, the hack a whomever strategy